Dude, I was doing the glue peeling thing before it was cool on Instagram. Oh, wait, we're live. All right. Welcome to the 197th episode of the Sawdust Nation podcast with your host, myself, Nap, from Nap's Naughty Works LLC.
And I am Tony Corrado from Tony Peps Woodworking, located in New York.
Hey, this is Deb from Gears and Fire in Wisconsin.
This is Josh from North Country Woodworking, and I'm in Illinois. And the first one there, Napadoodle, he's in Minot right now.
Unfortunately.
So we have our special guest today, Tony, joining us from kind of New York, quote unquote. I mean, he's above the city. That's kind of New York.
It's Yonkers, New York. It's Westchester. It's just outside the city, but you know, they call it in the Hudson Valley, but it's like the very bottom of the Hudson Valley.
Yeah. Well, man, welcome to the episode. And
New Yorker.
New York is really two states. You got the city, then you got the rest of New York. Let's just be honest.
Them
pretty
city
much.
Folk.
Pretty much. I've pretty much given up on the city. I don't go down there anymore. Too scary. Too scary.
Well, hey, man, what's going on in your shop? Tell us, your story, how you got started. We have a couple questions for you, but let's start off with your shop.
This is my retirement hobby. Went through a lot of things over the years of graphic arts. I was in that for a very long time. 2017, the last shop I was working in just went belly up, and I was like, I've had enough of this. I just don't want to come down the city anymore. You're on trains for an hour and a half each direction. It's just a pain in the keister. So I started selling cars, actually. And I did that for a little while and then realized that that's just a business that's totally full of whores and just didn't like it at all. I enjoyed dealing with the people. The people were cool. Talking to the people every day, that was fun. Selling cars was nice, if you sold one. But just the whole structure of selling cars is brutal. So I told my wife I wanted to retire, and she was like, well, you can't sit around with your finger in your keister like your father did. You got to do something. So my neighbor was a turner, and I said, that would be cool. Let me start to get into that. And, here I am sitting in $25,000 worth of tools. My wife probably wishes I was sitting around with my finger in my ass.
I say one option sounds cheaper than the other.
Yeah, exactly. The finger is free. The stuff down here was not. But yeah, that's where it got started, and I really do enjoy the turning aspect of it. And then I tripped across an incredible community on Instagram, and it's just gone from there. Meeting a lot of cool people. Went to WBC, met a lot of the nice people down there. Not this year, but last year. Hung out in Maker Camp with Mr. Tim there last October. That was a blast. And I can't wait to go back. I've already got my RV picked and my site.
Looking forward to hanging out with you again, dude.
Yeah. Should be a good time. I'm trying to convince a whole bunch of other people that they should come because Maker Camp is better than WBC. It's just a lot more hands-on, a lot more fun.
I hear.
We'll find out.
Oh, I know. You guys just went to WBC. Was that your first time, or have you been before?
So mine and Josh. Well, my second time. Josh's third time, actually.
I don't know.
It wasn't too bad, but I heard just Maker Camp's just a little more fun overall.
Just a little, yeah. I mean, the after-hour shenanigans are pretty much the same. It's just that you don't have to walk across the bridge and go find a bar and hang out over there. It's right there.
Yeah,
it's
the 18 inches of rainfall is what really sells it.
Hopefully it doesn't rain this year because oh my god, last year was just ridiculous.
Where's your sense of adventure?
That was a fluke.
It stayed with my tent. It stayed with my tent, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that rainfall was
But-
tough. I'm surprised that everyone, plowed through it no problem. Everyone was smiling still and still messing around and having a good time.
Well, I mean, there was still stuff to do. They did shut down the electricity for a little while because, everybody's standing in 6 inches of water.
Yeah, water,
That's
smart.
electricity, man.
Cowards.
And like 5 minutes before they did it, I'm like standing in the restoration tent, and I'm like standing in the water, and I'm looking at all this electricity, and they're like, "Yeah, this might not be a good idea."
No,
But I was
that's the
assured.
fun.
I was assured that it was done by a proper electrician and it's all GFI'd and everything, but in abundance of caution, they shut everything down.
It's just a little tickle. That's all it is.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? There was still some stuff on high ground that was on pavement, some little parking lot areas that you can go up there and they still had juice and you could still do stuff up there. And there was still just stuff that you could do that didn't need electricity.
Yeah.
And they had quite a number of turners there too, though. I was wondering if you got to rub elbows with any of them. I know you got to like shake hands and talk to Pat.
I hung
Lapp
out with Pat Lapp. Yeah, I hung out and I met Pat Lapp and his best buddy Ryan Cochran from Cochran Kayak.
Yeah. Yep.
We kind of hung for the majority of the time that we were there. And Pat's just a maniac. He's just kind of nuts. But I didn't get too much time to chat with him because he was demonstrating and doing his thing.
Sure.
But it was just fun to watch him because he's just a bit of a wild man. Yeah, bit of a wild man. Yeah. I asked him why he was doing a particular speed. Yeah. And it was really fast. He was turning a bowl at like 2,800 RPM, which is insane. And I was like, why are you going so fast? And his answer was, because I don't give a, you know what? He used the F word, which I won't use here in case there's children involved.
French.
Right,
Well,
exactly. But it was
what I
pretty
can't
wild.
tell you is if you do like curse, like drop a hard F-bomb or any of those things, just re-say what you said in a clean version and Josh will cut it. It's fine.
Okay. I'll try to refrain because
It's hard sometimes when you get going.
I New York could come out a little on the hard side.
It's all right.
But,
Just substitute it with fire trucker.
So, at the moment, I was talking to you guys before we went live to lay this down. I bought a secondhand machine and I changed out the bearings. And in doing that, I found out that the speed switch was no good. So we got a broken speed switch. So I've ordered a new speed switch. And unbeknownst to me, I did not know that you could buy directly from Jet. Because if you go to Jet, you don't have like a cart.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a third party place that I will not mention. Tools Pro and Tool Parts Pro. And after about 2 weeks, it said 1 to 2 weeks to deliver, delivery. After 2 weeks, I called up and they're like, it's it's 10 to 14 business days. And I'm like, okay. He says, you're only at 10. So I call back at 18 and I'm told, well, it was on back order. And I'm like, well, you never told me that. And he goes, we're going to get it like next Friday, which would be this Friday coming. And then we have to send it to you. And I'm like, okay, that puts you about 6.5 weeks. Now, I had already called Jet that morning. And guess what? Jet's got it in stock. And they'll send it out in 3 days. So I told this guy, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? They've got it in stock. They've had them in stock for 6 months. Why am I waiting forever? Well, bulk orders. I was like, I'm done. Just cancel
So
me
what
out.
I'm hearing is Jet has good customer service.
Yeah. Oh, the woman Felicia was marvelous. She, because I walked her through the whole
Felicia,
thing.
yeah, I love her. She's great.
Why, have you spoken to her?
No.
Okay.
I said bye to her a few times.
Well, because I called twice and I got her at the same time, so I don't really know how many people are there.
Yeah. Well, you did there. I see that, and I appreciate you for that.
But so hopefully, I think that shipped today. So I should have that soon so I can get back down here. But
so you're rocking this new jet. Are you just like
working outside at the
getting
moment?
Done with your old one because it's too small, or are you just not like
because
Recon?
It had a couple of different issues. Okay, so it was a great lathe, the little Recon 1220 BSR.
Yes, sir.
Only 1 horsepower motor, so not a lot of juice. If you're trying to turn something that's pretty large and you're taking a decent cut, it kind of bogs down. Stop. The whole bit.
Well, it certainly hasn't stopped you from doing your beautiful work. I mean, I have a bowl here. So awesome.
But it does. It didn't really affect me that much doing with the carbides. But once I got into regular gouges, it really showed me the limitation of the machine.
Okay.
So I picked up a full-size jet. So that's a 1642, so it's huge. It's got about 400 pounds over the Rikon, because I think the Rikon was like 140 pounds. I had it bolted to a desk. This thing is, I think, 480 just by itself.
No.
And then I've got a bunch of 16 by 16 concrete pavers down on the bottom shelf, just to give it a little more weight. So you put something even on this, and it doesn't rock. It stays pretty stable. But so that's the reason why I went with this, and it's a 1.5 horsepower machine, but it's still 110, and I have to have the 110 because I don't even have the ability to go to 220. My electrical panel is completely maxed out. I can't do anything else with it. When I put the air conditioning in the house, pardon?
No more room left in the box, or no more juice left?
No more juice left in the box. Okay, because years ago when I did the house, I had a 40 amp service when I bought the house. The house is 100 years old. I had a 40 amp service in it. So in 1990, when I did the kitchen, I upgraded the service, and I'm like, house has been running on 40 amps. I'll put 100 amps in it, because the more amp you go, the more expensive it is, and the kitchen was already expensive. So now I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass, because at 100 amps, I don't have the juice to put in multiple 220 circuits down here. Mm-hmm. Basically because I took both of those possibilities and put air conditioning in the house in 2012. Which was a hell of a lot more important because it's hot.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice there.
I was getting tired of window units. Pardon me, I'm getting a cramp in my leg. But I was getting tired of window units, and I found a magician who was able to come in and put air conditioning in a 100-year-old house without ripping the walls apart. So I did that. So I'm kind of stuck with it now. Because 2024 pricing to put a new panel in here and up the juice to even just 200, it's like $5,000.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's like a New York price, because I'm looking to do a lot of upgrades myself.
Well, I mean, you can't upgrade from the pole, so you're strapped with Con Edison, and they charge you like $2,400 to drop a line to the house.
Wow.
And then depending on how big the line is, you pay more. So for like a standard service now is like 200 amps. So a 200 amp service would cost you $2,400. But the box being too small and maxed, the box would have to be changed. Okay. And now at this junction, to change that box, all of the wires that are in the box would have to be put into like a big, long, rectangular connection box up top, and then everything rerun down into a new box. So an electrician would be in here for 3 days. Be a lot of work. So $5,000 just wasn't.
Comment from the Peanut Gallery says that your local power company is not really the best.
Well, Con Ed is Con Ed. You got to deal with who you got, and I'm not strapping solar panels on the roof because
that's a con in itself. I mean, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
sun
another
energy.
whole.
That doesn't make any sense, right?
No, it doesn't. If they would cover my garage in it, I would do it all day long. But you're not strapping that ugly crap on top of my 100-year-old beautiful Tudor house. I'm sorry, I don't want to pull up to my house and see all that shiny shit up on my roof.
I guess like if you already have south-facing roof panels, sure, but like it's the houses that have to like go like perpendicular to that.
Well, that's the thing.
Just like
I face due south. Okay, I have perfect southern exposure across the front of the house, but there's only a very small piece of roof that they could put panels on because there's a peak that comes out the front of the house. So you got the peak coming out the front of the house and a little roof over here. So the panels you put on this are just glimpsing sun as it goes across, and these are the panels that are going to do all the work. But it's just ugly. It's just ugly. So
shut up, Josh.
I'll deal with it. What am I going to do?
Josh, I think everybody's going to be running extension cords over to Josh's house.
Josh has free power, quote unquote. He doesn't really have free power. He gives up all of his housing money to have his house, but then
I pay for his power.
Yeah,
Tony pays for his
I pay for my own power. We all pay for it. Thank you to everyone out there, brother.
We all know cost of living is not right in the military. Okay, let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, please don't get me going with cost of living in New York. Come on.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
cost of living is
it's
pretty
gotten
nice
kind of silly. I'm really happy that the kids are like grown up and like gone. Because if I had to feed them, I'd kill myself. Because just the two of us, she goes to the grocery store and it's $175 to feed the two of us a week, and we go out twice a week. So it's like.
So okay, if you're not going to spend money on going out, you're going to spend money on other tools. Like, are you looking to expand beyond the whole wood turning stuff?
Well, I mean, I do like doing bandsaw boxes, and I have the bandsaws to do that because that's actually how I started. I bought the smaller bandsaw, 10-inch Rikon, and I was making bandsaw boxes. Those are really fun to make. They're cool. And I started with that. Then I bought a larger bandsaw. And I got into the turning and, just kind of fell in love with the turning more than the tedious sanding of the bandsaw boxes because they can really, although now that I do have a surf prep sander, that might help a lot with the boxes. It won't help the insides, because you've got to sand in all of the smaller inside pieces. The spindle sander does a really good job with that, but the outside, I think the surf prep would really work very well.
I feel like the spindle sander is like an unsung hero. It's like everybody sees it as like as a fancy piece that just takes up bench space until you need it.
That thing changed my life with the bandsaw boxes. Phenomenal to be able to go around turns. Inside the boxes, inside the drawers, and I got a good one too. I got a Triton, so it's got like a 5.5 inch. It's got a 6-inch sleeve, so you're getting like 5.5 inches of sanding out of it.
Right.
And most of your bandsaw boxes aren't deeper than 5.5 inches. Most of them, once they get cut down to the point where you're doing all the sanding, they're probably in the 4.5 inch range. So that 5 3/4 inch travel gives you plenty of real estate to be able to do all your sanding.
I had to explain what a spindle sander was to somebody. I just explained it as it's like a gentle massaging router.
No.
That's not how this works.
Me and a spindle
That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, so me and a spindle sander went round and round, okay? Because if you don't hold the piece right when you're using it, or whatever the case may be, that thing will take it and it'll fling it.
Oh,
I don't care who you are.
Yeah. No, you gotta hold it.
I was using what the hell brand was that shit? The orange and black one. What is that?
Orange.
Not Black and Decker.
When?
No.
Rigid?
Rigid?
Yes, Rigid. Thank you.
Yes.
I was using the rigid sander, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is doing good, doing great. I got a little loosey-goosey with it, and it went, phew! I was like, oh, shit. Okay, not doing that again.
Hey, don't hate.
You should try a lathe.
So funny story about a lathe. So
you want to fling some shit? Try a lathe.
I have. I hit myself in the face with a piece of wood. In fact,
nice.
So
the hobby is
brand new to lathe. Like never used it. I was like, screw it. I was being super conservative the first couple times, so I had no issues.
How hard can it be?
I did something stupid. So I glued something together, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, this shit's good. A few hours, whatever. Like a couple hours, I throw it on the CNC and it's fine. Well, spinning and glue is two different things. So it was fine, right? It was pretty solid, mind you.
Until it wasn't.
So I'm doing back and forth. I'm actually I'm doing fine. It's 2 sections. One side's a little bit bigger than the other because this is like the end of a sword. This is the handle. And I started rounding out the handle. I'm like, all right, cool. This is going good. All right, cool. Let's start working into the pommel now. So start working into the pommel. Doing good. And then the gouge caught a corner of that thing. And when I tell you it came off with a quickness and that piece of wood hit me under the chin, I was like, okay. I turned it off. I
learned a lesson.
I put the gouge down. Like it was all slow-mo. I was just like,
right. Done.
And I walked inside. I go, honey, am I okay? like I didn't even look at the mirror. I'm just making sure that I don't have blood coming out of somewhere,
Am I hemorrhaging?
She goes, yeah, why? I was like, because I just got hit under the chin and almost knocked out by a piece of wood just now. Because I saw like the little white light. Like that thing hit me pretty hard. So I went like ding. And I was like, ooh, that was quick.
You could have lost some teeth.
Well, yeah, I got lucky. So I walked out. Looked on the ground, pommel's over here, handle's over there. You can see where I caught, and I go, and we're putting this away for now. So I put it away for about a month, and then I pulled it back out and started using it again. I haven't used it too much more though because I ended up getting into some other stuff, and then I found a rotary CNC. So I'm still going to use my lathe. I just haven't used it as much. But things I've invested in, I have a face shield now and a leather apron. Well, not leather, but I have an apron. So from here on out, those things exist in my shop, and I do use them when I need them. But that was my story about getting hit in the face with a piece of wood and flinging it. It hurt a lot.
Getting a larger lathe was truly an eye-opening thing a couple of weeks ago when I made some blanks. Because now with the smaller lathe, max it could do is 12. So 90% of the things I was doing between 8 and 10 inches. This thing will do 16.
Oh, wow.
It's a big difference. Okay. So the first time I made a 16-inch blank, this is a 16-inch.
Holy shite.
That can hold all the apples.
Yeah. This is
weird flex, but okay.
That's sweet. So, yeah, that you definitely want to be a little careful when you've got that sitting in front of you spinning at like 800-900 RPM. But that's why we have things like this.
I love the peanut gallery right now with the operator error. Most definitely.
Oh yeah. Operator error will get you every time. So
and apparently, I have experienced wood slapping me on my chin. Of course, I have.
There you go.
Even towels, Just,
oh my
don't
God.
threaten me with a good time.
Anyway, Tony, what are you showing us?
This is a and my mind just went completely blank. This is a it's a chuck, but it's not a 4-jaw chuck. This is what they call a faceplate. Thank you. My brain just engaged. So as you can see, it's got a whole crap load of holes in it. That goes on the spindle.
Yep.
And you can screw this into the flat part of that, and it will hold everything. So you don't have to worry about it coming back in your face.
So when you do that, obviously you're getting as close to center as possible. But if you're doing like oblong, like stock, for example, you'll get as close to center, and just keeping in mind that for a fact that you're obviously not just going to go dive into it with a gouge or anything. You're going to start light and go and work your way in, I'm sure.
Pretty much. But I mean, this gives you the ability to not be afraid of it, because this has some holding power.
Nice.
And then you've got
Victor.
some massive chucks up there. I'm going to tip this up for a little bit. So
yeah, you got a lot of like
5-inch chuck, 5-inch chuck, a 4-inch chuck,
and you got the jaws that go with them. Yeah,
some smaller ones. Yeah, and all the
if you need
tools
some,
behind me.
Bigger blanks, Tony, I'll bring some to Maker Camp. I got a whole
big
old swath of giant firewood.
The last thing I need is more wood. Okay, I'm staring at 2 racks in front of me that are like baker's racks. So I got 4 shelves, and there's not a half an inch of space on any of them. It's stacked to the ceiling.
I gotta say though, looking at your page though, you have a pretty organized shop there, Tony.
Oh yeah,
he is meticulous.
I'm a little bit of an anal retentive lunatic. Yeah,
that's okay though.
Yeah, everything
I
in
bet
the
you
back.
can find your tape measure.
Oh yeah, it's right here.
Exactly.
Okay.
There it is.
Exactly.
That's not fair. I clearly did not. I'm sorry, guys. I did not.
Not only that,
this guy.
I could find all my pens and pencils too.
Yeah, those are gone. Like they're probably in the dust collection under my laser. My kid probably ate one. I don't know.
My dust collection is filled with the Aberneth sandpaper. That's what flies off my fingers the fastest. There's all these little screens, and I have
expensive FOD or foreign objects. Yes.
Yeah.
Air Force much?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
everything.
Sorry. That was bad. I'm sorry.
Woodworking is a fabulous, fabulous hobby, but it is not for the,
It's not for the faint of heart or like
no, it's not for the faint of heart, and you don't have to have high price stuff, but
yeah, Victor, I'll bring you some blanks if you come to Maker Camp.
Yeah, so real quick on that in the chat there with Tim answering Victor, Jason actually has a question for you there, Tony. He says, question on turning. Is it better to use dry wood or green wood when turning?
You can do both, obviously. Dry, you can turn in one shot. So you could do the outside, flip it over, do the inside, do all your sanding, finish, flip it around, take the tenon off, and finish that part, and you're done. So when you're dealing with dry, it could be kiln-dried wood, it could be salvaged stuff that's been sitting around on a shelf for a couple of years and has dried out. Green is another story. You turn it wet. If you turn it wet and you go final size, it's going to warp for sure, because wood moves when it dries. It possibly will crack. If you go real thin, it usually stays without cracking, but certain species are going to crack no matter what. Cherry is notorious.
Of course it is. My favorite.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it cracks like freaking crazy. But usually what I'll do with the green stuff is I'll turn it, leave it inch and a half thick, and then everybody's got a different way of drying it. Some people throw it in the bag with the wet shavings and put it on the shelf for 9 months. Me being retired and close to the end of my life, I don't want to wait 9 months to finish a bowl. So I have a kiln, and I'll throw it in there, and it'll dry it in 6 to 10 weeks.
So tell us about that kiln. You made that kiln. Tell us more about that kiln. You made that.
I did make the kiln. Yes. This is not new to me. I've stood on the shoulders of YouTubers, and just happened to find a wine fridge sitting on the curb in the neighborhood.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is cool, because it's got a glass front so you could see inside of it. And I gutted it all out, put a couple of light bulbs in it, drilled a hole in the side, and I used the fan that used to cool the coils. And for all those people out there who are worried about the environment, I did environmentally remove the guts and get rid of the compressor with all the Freon in it in a responsible manner. I didn't just chop it out and throw it in the garbage can. Anyway, so the fan that would cool the coils, I drilled a hole in the bottom of the wine fridge and enclosed all of that. So when that fan blows, it blows air up and through the box. So it actually pushes the moisture out. And I can adjust that by the little plastic tube that I put on there has a cap. And I have different size holes in the cap. So it'll restrict the airflow. It doesn't push the moisture out too quickly. And it's all run off like this $26 thermostat that I bought on Amazon. Turns the lights on at a certain temperature, turns them off at a certain temperature, and keeps that range for as long as I want. And what I usually do is I start out at 82 to 87. And then after a week of that or a week and a half of that, I'll switch to 86 to 90. And then I'll slowly work my way up to 95 to 100 and let it sit there for the last 2 weeks. And like I said, 7 to 10 weeks, depending on how large the item is, it'll take it from 45% moisture down to 10. And then you just final turn it and finish it.
So it's that repurposing of curbside stuff. That's what hits me in the heart. Hats off to you for that, dude.
I spend money on tools that I'm going to use because that's where you should spend the money. But if you're going to make something like that, that's a DIY kind of thing, scavenge the living hell out of every part of it.
Good for you. So Victor's got a question for you. Turned glue pieces. Do you recommend a particular glue or any old wood glue work?
I have not turned a glued. Actually, I lie. I did turn a small vase that was glued, kiln dried Hawaiian wood. I use tight bond. This is pretty much what I've used on everything that I've done. So bandsaw boxes. Made the blocks for the bandsaw boxes with this, and then glued them back together with this. Couple of things that I think I did 2 vases that I stacked some stuff on, some different species together and turned. And, just clamp it, leave it for 24, 48 hours. Don't be in a rush. Let the glue do its thing. And I didn't have any issue with it at all. And of course, I think also if you're going to do any kind of joinery work like that to turn, very important to have proper faces that are being glued. So I've got a jointer here that I would face anything that I was going to glue together. Did you bring enough snacks for everybody, Nap, or just yourself?
He bought snacks and booze.
Did you bring gum for the whole class?
Listen, guys. I'm always hungry.
Listen, guys, I'm too busy stuffing my face.
Josh is off camera stuffing his face.
I'm going to make this good for Josh. Hold on. But no,
I just brought water.
I'm always hungry, but then of course I needed a refill. So
it's just water.
Yeah, I see how that water sticks.
Yeah, I've only used tight bond as far as that stuff goes. And of course I have my array of Star Bond here. Got the thin, the thick, the brown, the black, the this, the that, the other thing, the accelerators. Although they did come out with something that's pretty cool. This is a new one. It's odorless.
Oh,
okay. So we all know this, this stuff kind of smells nasty. And if you're one of those people like myself, when I first started using this stuff to like fill in cracks and everything, and this was right around when COVID hit, I'd come down here, I'd do the thing, sniffed that stuff for a little while. And then like a day later, I've got a stuffy nose, and like a little bit of a cough, and it lasts for 3 days and go away. And I'm like, every time it happens, by the second day, I'm taking a COVID test because I think I got COVID, and it's not.
Yep. Turns out it was just the glue.
Yeah, it turns out that I'm just sensitive to the glue. So now I've got a respirator when I use it, but they came out with this stuff that's odorless, and yeah, it works because I could use it as I'm turning, use it, hit with the accelerator, turn it, which now makes it airborne, but excuse me, I don't turn with a mask because I've got a face shield, and trying to stick a mask under the face shield and everything is too much.
Nice.
And I'm not buying a $1,400 respirator. It's just not going to happen.
We're not there yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have really good dust collection. I spent some money on a good Jet 1100 CFM unit. I have a nozzle that literally is right behind what I'm sanding and what I'm turning, and I turn with it on all the time. So a lot of the stuff goes up the chute. Some of it goes underground. But if there's any really small particles, that's all going up the chute. I'm not dealing with that. So it's not like when I'm done turning, I go blow my nose and I've got sawdust in my tissue. So
it's funny you talk about that, because in the past couple weeks, so mind you, I've not been much of a respirator wearer. I typically didn't, just because I did enough to where, yeah, okay, I blow my nose sometimes, maybe a little bit, but then it started to get a little crazy with sawdust and like the chunks of walnut and whatnot. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not a booger. That's walnut.
Walnut dust.
Walnut, yeah.
But two things have happened in the past 3 weeks or so. One, I got a 3M respirator. Don't get me wrong, the nylon ones that you get from like Base Camp or RZ or not, those are all good masks, and I'll never, besmirch those brands because they're good. However, I'm more of a all-in-one kind of guy. So I end up getting one of those 3M respirators, 3M Pro respirators. Not only does it take care of the dust, but it takes care of aerosols and things. Like, I smell nothing.
Yep.
So I started wearing that. That's what you have.
Yeah, that's what I ended up getting when I realized that the glue was setting me off like that. I had to get something that would deal with the odors and the chemical smells rather than just dust.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, the other masks are great for dust, but they're not going to block that stuff. Stuff goes really
after a good solid hour and a half, like starting dust and chemicals, and all of a sudden you're confused as to why it can taste purple, you should probably start wearing some proper protection on your face.
Well, then,
it always starts with, it's just a little quick sanding before it finally turns into, I've inhaled
4 hours
every
later
chemical in my shop. Yeah.
Well, the thing of the matter was this, though. So, I have a Merca sander. Now, mind you, I may or may not eventually switch over to something else, just because there's some stuff I see with some other brands that I like a little more. And also, my Merca's like 3 years old. Okay, it's taken a beating. I do more sanding apparently than some, but as far as sanding, I haven't really had to worry too much because my Merca sander's always pulled in the dust, so I haven't had a whole lot of issue with that dust. The dust for me comes from the table saw. Because the table saw, yes, it's got that under vac, and that's great and everything, and it does get most of it. But if you don't have the overhead hood, you're not maximized for your dust collection on that. So
and it's coming right up at you too.
Right, and that's where I got a lot of my, where I breathe in most of the dust, right? And I'm not sitting there huffing, walnut and cherry dust. Mind you, walnut's amazing, and it's the expensive stuff. Exactly. But the thing of the matter is I learned some stuff. Now, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I do listen to a couple. And I was talking about Beat Around the Bench podcast a few episodes ago. And they mentioned something. They do something called Wood of the Week. And they talked about white oak. Did you know white oak dust is toxic and actually has been attributed to cancer? Like, I was like, what? That was also another reason why, and I don't use white oak very often, but at the same time, I thought to myself, man, I really need to wear a respirator. Like for that reason, like it just, some things kind of click and you're like, ugh. But no, so sawdust from the table saw is what got me the worst. And then my dust collection. So I updated my dust collection this past weekend. I got really tired of using my dust. And I want to do the dust, my Lord, what is that thing? The quick hookup. Dust Deputy, right? That's
yeah.
Okay, so I use that still. I still use it. However, the way I had it set up was not effective. I followed Matt Wackerly's advice from Wacky Works as far as how to set it up. I did omit one thing because I couldn't find 45-degree scoops, but it is very effective still. But I still have one more upgrade to do, and that is to upgrade my impeller to a turbofan impeller to give myself a few more CFMs. But I can tell you right now, I have a floor scoop. I have the Dust Deputy that hooks up to my drum sander and my planer. And then I have an extra outlet just in case, like maybe my bandsaw, which does work now, by the way. Tell me how I fixed it.
Wait.
Ask
pause.
me how I fixed it later.
Pause. I need to know. We've been talking about this. Sorry, Tony. He's had a bandsaw, right. and he does not use it because it makes weird noises or something like that. And finally, was it a year or two after he fixes it? Yeah. So
I fixed it. However, I still have one more thing to finally fix it. I'm able to use it to cut out shapes and stuff. So like if I didn't go all the way through in a CNC, I can take it over and I can do my thing.
Yeah.
So the wheel was tilted a little too far. That was number one. Okay.
I think I
know bringing the band into the bearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second part.
That is adjustable by a knob.
Yeah. Well, I'm a bandsaw user. Thanks, guys. You all can eat it.
Why didn't you just ask?
There's this new thing out for the youngins called YouTube.
Hey, listen. I'm not a guy to ask a lot of questions, and typically I like to figure things out myself before I look at YouTube and things, because if I can figure it out myself, I learn.
I hear you.
Then I look at YouTube when I like Snodgrass. I was watching this stuff, and then I've also talked to other people like Rojas from when we were at Maker Camp, or Rob. We were at Maker Camp, not Maker Camp, WBC. We've been talking about all these different things. But we were at Workbench Con, and we talked about a couple of things. He said, we'll do this, and I did that. But my bandsaw blade is also dull. So,
yep.
And the reason why it's dull is not because it's been used a bunch. It's because I was using it incorrectly, and the heat and all the things dulled it faster. So
the teeth pointing up, or
I have the teeth pointed the right way, you asshole. I'm not that stupid. But once I get a new blade on it, it should all work as advertised, and we're good to go. But anyways, so that's what the extra hookup's for. We'll test it out when I get the new impeller and all that stuff put in. But yeah, so sorry, I took it for a second there, but you said something about dust masks, and I've been wearing one religiously now. The only time I think I've not worn it is when the CNC's going. But anytime I'm on the saw, the planer, the drum sander, even with dust collection going, I have it on.
The CNC's got its own dust collection, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It does really well.
It still creates other dust. I mean, MDF, if you ever carve that, you definitely will be wearing it in the shop regardless.
I don't know how anybody works with that stuff. That stuff is brutal. Yeah. I hate just cutting it, period. It is a couple of times that I've used it.
You don't turn any MDF bowls, do you?
Oh, God, no. God, no.
It'd be like Desert Storm while he's doing that. Just like freaking.
I think Steve the Woodturner on Instagram, he had to do some MDF at one point in time, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Just horrible.
Order a wheel for that drum. You have to be a little more specific, Dan. Or Stan, I can't tell if you're joking and messing with me or if you're being serious. Please elaborate. Because most of the time, so Stan's normally busting my chops like any chance he gets, because that's how he tells me he loves me in a non-sensual way. This is like the brotherly love. He's like the older brother that's picking on me all the time. So
it's like a warm hug, a warm embrace.
No, literally, I think every day I say something, he's got some smart ass something to say to me, and I'm like, well, I mean, if I had an older brother, it'd be Stan. So, and then the next older brother would be Josh. Because me and him, for
Stan
some
would be
reason,
more like our grandfather or great grandfather.
We are related in some way. Anyways, moving on. But anyway, sorry, Tony. But yes, so dust mask, you wear it often, except for when you're turning. Continue with the wearing of the mask.
The mask is done. We're done with the mask. Let's move on. We digress. But at the moment, not that much turning going on. The lathe is down. And last year I did a lot of work in the house. We decided to do 3 rooms, paint, trim, fix windows, all kinds of stuff. Had the floors redone. And this year it's time to do the outside. Had a contractor come. I have a really ugly patio from like 1960. It's yellow and green, 8 by 16 cement tiles. And it has seen better days. It's in bad shape. Filthy, cracked up because I had a big tree cut and they just dropped all kinds of crap all over it.
Sounds like you had a terrible tree service handle your tree job.
Well, I mean, they repelled everything down, but once they got to the actual trunk itself, so now it's about 15 feet high, and I think it was 59 inches across at its widest diameter.
Holy cow.
So when that guy slid a piece of that off, there's no way to repel that, because you've already taken the tree down. There's nothing, because it just has to fall off. And it fell on the patio. So, it's beat. And my deck is shot. And I had a fire pit deck. That shot. The walkway out to the backyard is shot. All this stuff's been done. I'm in the house now almost 40 years. So, I've done all this stuff all years ago. So I said, you know what? Let's get a contractor in here. I had a guy during the pandemic, did a lot of work in the neighborhood. I'm very picky. He did really nice work. So I had him come. And he gave me a price on ripping out that patio. There's a lot of excavating going on there because I know there's a cement patio underneath it as well. And build a wall and build a walk and yada, yada, yada. And he came in.
So how much of the exterior are you going to do?
Well, yeah, I'm doing all of it because he came in at 36.8.
Oh, my gosh.
To do that. And I'm like...
So it sounds like Tony's going to learn some new skills.
Yeah. So, I mean, I already had it in the back of my head that I had found these Brazilian deck tiles a while back. And cool. They're really nice. There's Ipe, there's Cameroon, there's Brazilian walnut, Brazilian rosewood, grappa, I think is another one. And they're really beautiful and they're really well made. And I priced them out to cover the patio like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was like $4,000, which sounded like, oh my God, a lot of money. But then when somebody comes in and gives you a quote for $36,000, suddenly $4,000 just looks friggin' great. So that's pretty much what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to leave the patio because there's really, other than it just being ugly and some cracked tiles, it's solid. It's not going anywhere. So I could just go right over the top of it with these deck tiles. And the company that I'm getting them from, they also sell lumber in the same species. So I'm going to rebuild the deck. And when I rebuild the deck, I'm going to cover it in the same species that I get the deck tiles in. So the whole thing will match. And then I figured out how to I was going to do a paver path going out to the backyard. And that came in at about $2,000. And then I'm walking the dog the other day and shit's going through my head. And I'm like, well, if I do this and I do that, then I could use the deck tiles to make a walkway as well. So I refigured that. And for $1,000, I could do the walk in deck tiles instead of $2,000 in hardscape.
Perfect.
So when all is said and done, I will probably do everything that I'm not going to do what the guy was going to do because he was going to excavate everything out and give me a huge hardscape patio. But I will have a beautiful patio and a nice deck and a matching walk, and everything else will be repaired. And I'm hoping I can bring it in for about 15 grand. And then I'll have to deal with the lawn in the back because the lawn is shot. And that's probably going to be another
that's
$3,000 to $4,000.
2025 project.
Yeah, there's just so much going on. Jesus, I've been out there now almost 2 weeks straight, digging holes, figuring out how I'm going to do certain things.
But that's a good way to be retired, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing,
Love you.
I have two things going for me. A, I can do all these things. I have the ability. I'm healthy enough that I can do it. And I have the time. Because other than walking the dog, I have no restraints on my time. It's all
what's crazy though, Tony, is so you're doing this is your retired gig, if you will, and this is, some of us aspire to do things like that. Like myself, when I retire from the military, I'm the only person I will work for more than likely is Daniel from PW and CNC, who's our current sponsor for the podcast. But I'm just going to make stuff in my garage and do yard work. And the reason why is, one, it keeps you active.
Right.
I don't necessarily have to go pick heavy things up and put them down. I can just do manual labor like they did back in the day and be completely healthy doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much walk 2 miles every day, minimum of 2 miles every day.
That's solid.
During the pandemic, we were doing 5 miles a day because we would go to the park, one of two, and that's a 2 mile loop. One's in the woods, one's a paved path. And then we would walk 3 times 1 mile loop around the neighborhood. So once in the morning, once after lunch, and once after dinner. So, we're getting 5 miles a day. It's a lot. That's a hell of a lot.
You're doing good.
Like that's more than some damn 21-year-olds.
You're handling retirement so well.
I have so many people who tell me, I can't retire. I don't know what I would do with myself. Dude, there's a gazillion things you could. You like photography? Go get a camera. Go to the camera. Go to a park that's got a lake. Sit on a bench and just watch nature and take pictures of it. And you'll be surprised, how much fun you could have just doing that. I used to do that too. I was into photography a long time ago. I would go up to Bear Mountain and I would just walk around Bear Mountain and just do all kinds of different pictures and stuff.
I'll say the one thing.
Awesome.
I'll say the one thing. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'm looking forward to when I retire, other than the woodworking thing, is watching my kids grow up.
Yeah, that too. I mean, my children are away. They're one's up in New Hampshire, one's down in Texas. But I talk to both of them every day. My oldest, he drives a field truck for a heavy equipment place down in Texas. So he's fixing heavy equipment in the field. So he gets a lot of seat time. So he calls me from the truck, and we'll talk, for an hour and a half. If he's out, hour and a half away from his house, he calls me up when he leaves the job and we'll talk all the way home. I sit there, I play Xbox with the sound off and bullshit with him for an hour and a half.
Whoa. Rewind. You play Xbox?
Xbox.
What do you play?
Call of Duty.
My man, let's go. I need your gamer tag. We're playing. Probably better than I am.
Kill You 2 times is my name.
Shoot, I probably played you before and you probably whooped my ass. I'm like,
I've been playing
he's
Call
probably
of Duty.
that bully that makes him sign off every night.
Damn it.
I tell everybody when they say, why do you play Xbox? This is because it's the only way you can kill children without being put in prison.
Hey, okay, listen, if there's not a highlight to this episode, that right there was it. Like, oh my God.
at one point in time when the kids were young, the infamous red rings of death on the Xbox.
Yeah.
And when you have kids, you can't have the red rings of death on the Xbox because, they send you a casket, you send it in, they send it back to you. It takes like 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. You can't have two kids in the house without an Xbox when they're 10 to 14 years old. This ain't going to happen. So when the first one died, I just went to Costco and bought another one. So now when the other one that's dead comes back, now we got 2 Xboxes. Okay?
That's
LAN parties.
See, we had a similar situation, but it's with Nintendo.
This was the house that all the kids in the neighborhood came to. So I'd come home from work. There's 9 guys in the basement, all screaming and yelling and playing 2 sets of Xboxes that are down here. One of them was what used to be the tool room, which is now half of my shop. I had it sequestered in there. So if you wanted to go in and play a different game, you could go in there and not be bothered by the other people. So yeah, at one point in time, we had 2 Xboxes down here, kids yelling and screaming all the time. And then
stop killing me!
Right. When they grew up and moved away, now we would get together on Xbox and kill each other and kill other people. But now they just take it too seriously. They get too crazy, so I can't play with them anymore. I just play myself, and I don't care about stats and all that crap. If I've got a guy who's dug in like a tick, I will go back and try and get him. And if he kills me 10 times, as soon as I kill him once, I'm happy.
Yep. Then I can move on.
That's it, man. That's it. I can move on.
It might be 3 a.m., but I finally got that guy and I can go to bed.
I got that little pain.
I died 23 times.
But
that one kill was worth it.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Made my night.
I feel that.
Made my night because I know I pissed them off. But yeah, that's pretty much every night. I'll hang out, watch TV with the wife for a while. And then 10 o'clock rolls around. I go upstairs and get an hour and a half of Xbox in and then sack out.
So when can we start? When can we expect to see some more bowls coming out of Peps Woodworks?
I'm hoping to get this thing fixed in the next week so I can, come down here and have a little therapy because I could use it. Because there's going to be gaps when I can't do stuff outside because obviously tomorrow it's going to pour all day. Thursday's a little iffy. But, there's going to be, we're coming into that season where, you get a lot of rain. So hopefully on the rainy days, I'll be down here spinning away because God only knows I've got enough stock. I've got so much crap here.
Well, we love seeing your projects. We love seeing your work, man. You truly have a gift.
Appreciate it. I love watching all your stuff too because you really, you've done so much with all your named tools. I don't name any of my tools. I love the fact that Tim names all his tools.
You gotta start.
That way when the tool break, it hurts more, so you have to take care of it better.
That's right. You gotta coddle it. You gotta treat it like it's your kid.
No, I beat every tool the same, just like I beat my chisels up. All right.
AKA is paint.
Did you ever buy new chisels, or are you still rocking the Craftsman ones?
I'm still rocking my Craftsman ones, but I actually sharpen them now. So I have like a hand sharpening, some hand sharpening stones. They work good. So,
okay, listen, so you use stones,
huh?
So you use stones like not sandpaper?
Yeah.
Like the high grit sandpaper? Okay.
Yeah, I use there's a coarse stone and a fine stone. I'll hit the coarse stone for a while until I feel like the edge is actually square and straight, and then I'll hit it on the fine stone.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I've just been using the wet sandpaper.
Yeah,
it works all the same.
I was doing that for my chisels too. The wet sandpaper glue them down on a piece of glass so it's nice and flat.
Yep.
That worked out. That worked out really well.
Well, knowing my behemoth self, I'd probably break the glass in the middle trying to sharpen it, so I just don't do that.
You don't need to push that hard, man.
Listen, I'm like bull in China shop, okay? I go and break everything in my path. Other than my shop, though. If it's tools, yes. The actual shop, no. I clean my shop. My shop is beautiful right now. I love it.
That just means we're working.
Is it Tony worthy?
No.
Do you know
where's
where
your tape measure
is?
My tape measure is actually right next to my miter station, so there's that. However, my shop will be destroyed this weekend because I have a Onefinity upgrade to do. I have an ATC showing up to my doorstep on Thursday. I have the air dryer showing up sometime this week. I have a Craig table to set up. I got all sorts of things. I had to get a Craig table. Rockler didn't make the size I needed, and their backlog was too far. So I ended up buying a Craig table.
Trader.
Wasn't much. Bought it from Amazon. But yeah. So I got a lot of shit to make this weekend. And
you got a lot of
space.
projects going on. A lot of customer action.
Yeah, but we'll save that for when. Unless we go longer, but I can say that for the next episode. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of stuff coming. I have a 3x2 foot by 18-inch tall trunk to make.
Are you gonna price
by
it
the 19th
appropriately this time?
$750 oak.
Josh says no.
Well, Josh is a dummy.
You're just jealous. No,
it's oak. It's only oak. No epoxy. Just literally straight oak and finish and laser.
It ain't about the materials. It's the volume. It's the quality.
It is about the materials because you base your base price off of material there, Tim.
You mean authentic red oak?
Oh, yes. The most authentic red oak. Red oak is my cheapest material, so I can charge a little less for it. And not because if I mess up, I don't feel as bad.
It's not the cancer white oak?
No, it's not.
That's the next project.
Fresh out of cancer, I hope. Anyways. But yeah, anyways.
That's the one thing that I hate turning is oak.
Yeah.
It splinters.
It stinks something fierce when you're dealing with a wet piece of oak. It's terrible.
It smells like wet dog.
Oh, it's brutal. And it doesn't go away. It's like I made a bowl, and it took 4 months for that smell to just leave the bowl. Gross.
Nap's new shop name.
Well,
Wet Dog Woodworks.
You shut down. So Bumbleshoots, a company we met last year at Workbench Con. He makes this citrus solvent. That stuff takes the smell out of anything, and it smells.
Does it really? Good. But then it just smells like oranges for the rest of its life. Or
hey, listen, I'm okay with that.
I'll take the orange. I'll take the orange over the oak. That's for damn sure.
It'll dissipate.
Flavored, orange scented wet dog.
Yeah. Well, no. So actually, what I ended up doing, I told him about this. I said, "Hey, listen." So I spray a lot of project with lacquer, and sometimes it's like the night prior because sometimes I'm coming down to the wire when I finish certain things and I deliver in person. Well, I kept getting like that. Whew, that smells fresh. Well, yeah, because I just sprayed it last night, or sometimes the morning of. Sometimes. But I found after it's sat for long, like 30 minutes or so, I can take the citrus solvent, wipe it over it. Does not mess with the finish, but gets rid of my lacquer smell. So now my projects just smell like citrus or orange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can imagine if you rub that on that nasty wet oak you got going on the bowl, I think it would take most of your smell away.
It's possible.
Maybe something to try. I don't know.
I have 0 oak in the shop.
Okay, that's probably good.
I don't even if I get all my stuff from tree cutters, from arborists. I got 3 of them, and they know. Don't call me if you're cutting down an oak tree. I don't care.
Firewood.
I wish I had those people.
My dad is a Yankee. He always said the only thing an oak tree is good for is firewood.
I'm telling you, man, those guys are good to know when you're a woodworker, because now they just help me here. One guy's become a really good friend, and that tree that I said was cut down that was 56 inches in diameter, I had made a planter out of it. Now that's about 7-8 years ago, and I hollowed out the middle and made a planter. Now 7 years goes by, it's rotted to hell, it's ready to go. So it's also in the way of this new patio that I want to make. So he comes over and I said, got a grinder? He goes, I don't, but my buddy does. Buddy comes over with the stump grinder, takes that thing out like in 2 hours, took it down like 6 inches below the patio and charged me $250 to do it, which is usually like a $600 job. So it was nice to have friends. And in the end, it cost me nothing because I got so much mulch out of it that I literally mulched the entire backyard, which if I had to go buy it, I don't have any way to transport, yards of mulch. I don't have a pickup truck.
Mulch is expensive, like bagged.
Yeah, so I buy it in bags because that's easy for me not to have somebody dump it at the front of my driveway and then jackass it 140 feet to the back of the house to dump it. So I just buy the bags. And it would cost me like $180, $200 to do those beds. So I got it for free, as far as I'm concerned. It was a good deal.
I'd say so.
And it looks nice too. So
very nice, very nice.
But hey, guys,
Josh, what do you got going on?
Feeling?
I got to make some boxes I've been putting off. Got to do it soon because the people are moving.
Made those fucking boxes.
Look, I asked you for a reason. For some reason, I'm having trouble getting started with these things. Long story short, I got hired to make some photography boxes that stack inside each other, and I've tried different things and it wasn't working. And I texted Nap, I'm like, how much can I pay you to make these files? And then the teacher cap came on and he's like, I'll just teach you. And I'm like, that's not what I need. But I can make them. It's one of those things where for whatever reason, it's not a hard project. It's not. It's just.
He know math well.
It had nothing to do with the math. It has something to do with like building them for some reason. I'm at a stuck point where I just don't want to build them, but I have to because they're literally PCSing and like moving their stuff out. So it needs to be done soon.
You need to get on your shit, bud. You hurry up.
Yeah, I'll do it this week. But that's a big thing. I do some other projects. I'll probably post about, talk about some other time. I have a couple other things coming up, but haven't been paid yet. So not really worth talking about until they pay. So how about you there, Tim?
I'm just kind of wrapping up my production cribbage board design.
Nice.
So it's like I said, that the design itself is not fancy. It's just CNC one side, CNC the other side, cut it down the middle of the table saw, throw a hinge on it. It holds cards. You put in a little magnet. It holds the pegs, rubber feet. That's all there is to it. $50, and that's whatever. It's made out of whatever wood I get lying around. As long as it's like 5 inches wide, 12 and an eighth inches long, I can spit these out pretty quick. But like this is the final iteration of that design. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. First time I've ever had to use Aura mask, like for the painting and stuff like that, because it's a process. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased. Like it finally came to a point where I can really start knocking these out in bulk.
If you had a laser, you could have lasered that.
Where do you sell it, Tim?
There's a meat market in town that I'm basically. That's the other thing about this design too is like I intentionally left this space open on the bottom where I can put any business logo there. So for the first batch or so, I'm going to put his stuff right there too. So he's going to sell it for $60, but he makes $10. I make $50. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have a convention coming up this weekend too that I'm going to be bringing this with me, just to kind of generate interest too, because like there's a lot of like tabletop gaming vendors there that I say, hey, look, this is kind of what I do, and I'm pretty happy that I have something that I can take with me and to actually say, hey, what do you think of this? Can I sell you X amount? And just like start working on a deal with that. Like I said, cribbage is king in the Midwest, so I mean, I have a pretty good feeling that this is gonna keep me busy for a while. So
COVID brought a lot of people into cribbage and board games like that. So
I said this is the cheap version. This is the Chevy version. So like that round one that I made a while back, that with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
That's like the the Cadillac version, right? So like that's what I would sell for $100, maybe even a little more. I don't know, depending on how much detail needs to go in it. But like I said, I want to create like 2 levels, at least start off with 2 different levels of a product, and then kind of go from there. Like I said, cutting boards are nice and stuff like that, but like when you figure out the amount of dollars per hour, it's just not that great. I mean, they're fancy, and I can maybe sell them for a change at a time, but there's just too much work that goes into them. Because I don't have a drum sander, like I don't have this, I don't have that, like I don't have the necessary tools to make those efficiently. Whereas the stuff that I do have on hand right now, I can make these efficiently. So I have to be a little bit more practical about what's going to go through my shop.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I do have one question before we wrap. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I'm just saying, you got to make something that, if you're trying to run a business, you got to make something that's going to sell.
Right,
I'm not running a business here. I'm having fun, and I've got so much stuff that I just made a website just to, so it goes somewhere.
Right.
I want to do. I did really good at a farmer's market here, and I would probably like to do more of them, but that'll probably come like later on, end of summer into fall. And, because you go to one of those things, you can't go there with like 10 bowls, 15 bowls on the table. And you got to go there with 45, 50 things on the table. And, I don't have that much going on right now because like I basically took last year off and then did a few more things. And now this year is 2 months are going to get soaked into the backyard. So it'll be a while before I get back down here. But yeah, websites are hard. If Google doesn't love you,
and like the whole SEO side of
nothing.
things.
Yeah, the whole SEO thing is just mind-boggling to me. And I actually changed websites because I didn't like the way wasn't Squarespace. It was it Square? Yeah, it was Squarespace. I didn't like the Wix has much better SEO that you can do.
Okay.
Works you through steps that you could build your own stuff without having to take a whole friggin' course and without having to have other software to like make phrases and all that kind of stuff. It's right. Too complicated. It's too damn complicated, and I'm too cheap to pay somebody to do it. So
there you go.
If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't sell, it gets given to somebody as a gift.
There you go.
Always have gifts.
Everyone gets gifts.
Yeah, always have gifts on hand.
Well,
speaking of gifts, Josh,
you said you had one more question. Was it for me or for somebody else?
Yes, it was. It was for you, sir.
Yes.
What is one project that you would love to do but haven't done yet?
Segmented turning is what I really would like to do. I see so much cool segmented pieces. I bought the sled, got my table saw, I bought the sled, I bought the wedgies, I've got all that stuff set up. I just haven't pulled the pin and done it because I've had all these other things going on. But that's looks really cool to me, and I wanna try that. I did get into the hollowing. I do like the hollow forms. That was another thing that I wanted to get into. So I bought the tools, and I've done some of those, and that's fun and terrifying all at the same time because you cannot see what you're doing. You're just sticking this tool into this little 3/4 of an inch hole and just kind of feeling your way around on the inside of this thing and praying to God that it doesn't catch and just blow up in your face. But luckily I haven't had that happen yet. But yeah, I've done the hollowing thing a little bit and want to do more of that, of course. But the segmented is something that I really wanted to do, and I haven't done it yet. But I've set myself up for it. I just gotta actually commit to cutting all the little pieces and putting it together. So that's that.
Nice. Well, with that, man, thank you for joining us on this episode. It was a pleasure having you on.
You guys having me.
We're going to do our outros, and basically we're going to ask you, is there anything you'd like to say to kind of wrap up this episode? Anyone you want to shout out or, just tell the community?
Well, I'll give Joe from 2 Pints Carpentry a little shout out for the hats that he made for me. I really do like that. So that's 2 Pints Carpentry. He makes hats. He's also going to start making T-shirts and, doing some merch stuff. So if anybody wants a hat, I have some. So if you're dying to have a Tony Peps original hat, DM me on Instagram at Tony Peps Woodworking. So that's the shameless plug. And other than that, just go in your shop, have fun, do what you want to do. If you're trying to run a business, make stuff that sells, but try to find the fun in doing it so it doesn't just become a mundane, mess that you hate as much as your 9-to-5 job that pays the bills, because I know a lot of people, this isn't their livelihood. This is their fun, but they like to have a little income on the side. But, make it fun. Go out and just make shit and have a good time. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Words of wisdom.
Yep. Tim?
Well, guys, this is the 197th episode. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Thank you to the patrons that were able to kind of hang out with us for a while. And Tony, thank you for joining us, man. This was quite a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Always have a good time with you, Tim.
You laugh a minute, right?
Right, exactly. Just make sure Kristen comes to Maker Camp so we can eat.
Oh, she's going to be there. Cam Goondocks is going to be there and it's going to be representing. For sure.
Woo-hoo. Even though I'm doing the RV, I'm going to hang with you. Because the food is good.
You know where the tent is. Just follow the smells. Follow the smells. Nap, words of wisdom.
Sorry, I'm over here trolling Josh right now.
I see that.
So honestly, folks, just keep taking care of each other. I mean, I've been asking questions of people in the community, and they've been asking me questions here and there. Don't ignore anybody, because you don't want to be the reason why someone's quit something because they quit on whatever it is that they're trying to do indoors in their shop. So never ever push anybody away. Outside of that, keep making some sawdust. Sawdust Nation out. I mean, Josh, what you got, buddy?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So a couple of announcements before we wrap this up. Our normal Tuesday giveaway in the beginning of the month will not be occurring. We'll be doing on the 16th of April, normal time at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, and then you can figure out the rest of the times. We'll be doing a live episode and doing a whole bunch of giveaways that day, generously donated from makers in the community. And again, if you'd like to go ahead and donate a something you make, we have a sign-up sheet, and we'll be posting that. You can just go in there, sign up, tell us what you want to donate, and we'll add it to the roster. Again, we're doing it because we want to have a community giveaway instead of just giving you guys tools or whatever. We want to give away other maker stuff to kind of really emphasize that whole community. Community gets together, helps each other. So with that, be on the lookout for that link so you can sign up and, be ready for the 16th, 8 o'clock Central Time. The link is already up on YouTube. If you follow our page, we'll put it in our link tree. We'll post it on the page. We'll advertise as much as possible. So hopefully you guys hear this and you mark your calendars. And if you don't and you want us to remind you, go ahead and DM us and we'll forget to remind you later on.
We should probably put stories up on Instagram.
I did a story. I don't know if you guys know this. I did a story. It's been like months.
You did 2 stories, I saw.
Yeah, well,
weird.
Damn thing interrupted me. So there was a time on Instagram you can go like 20 minutes, just one story. Now, obviously that changed. But anywho, I digress. With that, Thank you, Tony, for joining us again. It was a pleasure. And with that, we're going to wrap this episode up. Just saying, go out there, make some sawdust. The Sawdust Nation podcast.
Out. Yeah, out, right? Out. That's what we say. Finite.
I'm close enough to Canada. I think I can get away with it.
Take off, eh?
Hey, let me tell you about something about the Sawdust Nation podcast, eh? We're up here up in the north in the North Dakota, Minot. It's quite cold.
Listeners, please forgive us. He is in Minot. He's losing his mind slowly.
Canada, I am so sorry.
Canada is only 50 miles north, eh?
Doesn't mean you're Canadian.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you what. This weather is stupid. Like, it went from, we're going to be kind of warm, 40 to 50 degrees, to it's 9.
Yeah. See,
Dude,
when you
seriously, this place...
When you piss off Canada, they send you all the cold weather and they withhold the maple syrup.